What's up guys, and today we're going to be talking about the balance patch coming to the game in about 2 weeks on the 18th of July. And people have been saying it's not a great change, but me personally, I love these patch notes. Now obviously there are going to be some units that need to be buffed more so than the ones that currently are. But I think this is a step in the right direction, especially because we have a lot of newer players coming back to the game, or I guess returning players and newer players. So you're going to see a lot of free-to-play, very powerful PvE units being buffed. And we also have 2 ML units who honestly are pretty terrible right now that are also being buffed as well. Now obviously they're going to be worse ML 5 stars right now, right? You have like ML Araminta and stuff like that that really need a buff for ML Cecilia, Fallen Cecilia. But these 2 units I think are way more fun to use, so I think that's kind of why they're going to be buffing them first. Remnant Violet and Sylvan Sage Vivian are being buffed. They are 2 of my personal favorite units to use, so I'm pretty excited about that. Also, they're changing a lot of 3-star artifacts. This should be pretty interesting because I'm going into this blind, so I'll be kind of reacting to this as well. But I think 3-star artifacts being changed are very nice for the game because you never really use them. They're pretty terrible. The only 3-star artifacts you actually use are like Prophetic Candlestick, Daydream Joker for PvE, obviously that's the best one by far. You can use like Cursed Compass and stuff like that. But for the most part, not really used. So hopefully this rework makes it so that, you know, when you're starting the game, you have these artifacts, you can actually use them and not feel terrible. So the first thing being changed is Remnant Violet. First off, they're just increasing all of his damage, his S1 and his S3. His S3 already hits pretty hard, same with his S1, but having more damage is always nice. I think in the current power creep, his damage is a little bit lackluster. Long time ago when he first came out, he was like the highest single target damage unit in the game. But now he's kind of just outclassed by a lot of other single target damage dealers, right? You have such as like, you know, Savior Aiden's S3 is just way better than his. Just a lot of other options like ML Bologna's S3 as well. So this will make it so that he can actually do a ton of damage, even more so. Next, you're going to see that he gets increased evasion now instead of having this evasion buff. And you're going to see his evasion is increased by 50%, which is going to be very nice. Before you had to have a buff that gave you that 50% evasion, which was very annoying because it gets, you know, unbuffable, it gets dispelled off. You have like ML Luna that can just, you know, take it off now. I guess the seal still really screws you over. Seal will still kind of screw over Remnant Violet, but now you don't get screwed over by just anything that dispels you, right? So even like SC Airwells, if they just S1 you and it lands and they strip it off you, you just die. So if you were caught with your pants down without your evasion buff, you just die, but now it's just built into your kit. Which is very nice, similar to Savior Aiden, so you can actually somewhat play the game against like Angel of Lights and stuff like that. Will this change make him super strong? Probably not, but it'll make him a lot more usable, especially because ML Luna still dumps on him. The seal just completely destroys him. The seal will actually stop his evasion, and also things like Zahawk, Briar Witch's area will still completely destroy him. But this is a step in the right direction to actually make him more playable. Having this evasion buff was just way too outdated because, yeah, there's just way too many dispels in the game, so it'll make him so that he can actually somewhat play the game now. Next, we have Sylvan Sage Vivian. So Sylvan Sage Vivian, they're basically changing it so that her S1 will give her stacking attack that goes up to 3 times. Pretty nice. It'll make it so that she can actually ramp her damage way quicker with her S1s. It used to be on her S3, but now since it's on her S1, you'll actually be able to ramp up faster, which is very nice. Next, you're going to see your S2 is going to be somewhat changed here. At the start of battle, you get full focus, and at the end of your turn, you get 1 focus. And when you are focus 3 or higher, you're immune to debuffs. So very, very nice here. You can just not get stunned, not get sealed and stuff like that. So basically at the start of battle, you will be immune to debuffs. This will make her very powerful against stuff like Sylvan Sage Vivian and stuff like that. And just like any debuffer in general, and it'll make her a lot more powerful. Defense breaks won't screw her over anymore, and she'll just be pretty strong. Also, you'll see that she takes less damage now, or not less damage, but when she takes more damage than 30% of her health, she'll actually gain 1 focus now. It used to be 25%, so now you have to take more damage now to actually get focus, I believe, which is interesting. And you're also going to see that she doesn't actually get a skill cooldown reduction on her S3 because the cooldown is reduced by 2 turns, which is huge, and yeah, just pretty powerful. And this damage will actually increase with more enemies, I believe now, so it's pretty I don't know how much of a difference this will make. I assume this just does more damage. The only thing now is it doesn't give your entire team critical hit damage buff, which is pretty sad, but you're going to see that the heal will actually increase proportional to her own attack now. So her S3 used to AoE heal your team. It would scale with the target's health, which made no sense. But now you can actually heal proportional to her own attack. And I do believe the heal now is going to be for her entire team. So it says healing all allies. So before it only healed herself, but now you can actually heal your entire team now, which is going to be a very nice change. I don't know if this will make her that much better. I'm pretty sure her passive is the biggest thing, being immune to debuffs. Maybe it'll make her pretty strong, but I think right now, like even after her changes, she'll still be okay. But I think both these ML5 changes, nothing too crazy, it just makes them a little bit more playable into the current meta. Now let's get into the meat and bones, into the PvE free-to-play units, mostly for the newer players here. So Yuna, she's a free-to-play unit from Connections. Honestly, when I first started playing, I used her a lot because she was very, very strong, in my opinion, especially at the time. But, you know, now she's not really used. She's pretty good because she has all AoE attacks, and that's very good in the current PvE format because there's a lot of bosses and like content where you need a lot of AoE. And now you're going to see that she actually has a CR push for everyone and herself now on her S1, which is very nice. She will actually be able to cycle your team faster. Won't really change it for PvP at all, but for PvE it's very nice because you're just cycling faster, you'll get your cooldowns back. Most likely will be very strong with just, you know, any team where you need an ice AoE damage dealer. You also see your S2. It used to just give everyone a 2-turn attack buff. Now it's 3 turns. So if you're looking for a good attack buffer that's free until you can like pull like a Tamarin and stuff or something like that, then Yuna is a very good option. She has a 3-turn attack buff and the cooldown's only 4 turns. And the thing is, this will give you an extra turn now. So in the past, the biggest thing that sucked about Yuna is her attack buff was so bad because it didn't give her an extra turn, right? You waste a turn giving everyone an attack buff when you're a damage dealer, right? But now you actually grant an extra turn to yourself, so you can actually do something. And because it's 4-turn cooldown and it's a 3-turn attack buff and you get an extra turn, basically you can have attack buff up on your entire team if you make her the fastest, which is going to be very nice. So I think this will make her a lot better, a lot more usable. They finally granted her an extra turn on her S2, which should have been given to her since the release, but whatever. And you'll see that her S3 will get changed as well. Before it always resulted in a crit. That didn't matter because you built her on crit anyways. And the extra turn, of course, is going to her S2, which makes way more sense. So will she be super strong? Probably not. I don't see why you take her over like Seaside Bologna or like Landy or anything for PvE. But until you get a good attack buffer in the early game when she's very accessible, I think she's a pretty good option, especially until you can like pull like Tamarin or another consistent attack buffer. She'll be pretty good at, you know, just doing okay AoE damage and also buffing your team with attack buff. Now we have Free Spirit Teraria. Always very good in PvE, still very good. You use her in the early game for farming and stuff like that. Use her in the late game for farming as well, and you also can use her in hunts. But now she's even better, which is hard to believe. Basically, you're going to see that her S1 is being changed so that the damage dealt increases proportional to the target's max health. And this is a very, very big change. Bosses in Epic 7 have huge health pools, and with this change, she'll do a ton more single target damage. This is pretty strong. You're going to see it on units like Bologna. This is also how Daydream Joker works. So if you ever notice in PvE, you're not doing damage, and then you equip your units on Daydream Joker, and all of a sudden you're doing a ton of damage, you can actually imagine that being in effect now for Free Spirit Teraria as well, just for free. So it's going to be a huge, huge change for your single target damage profile. Next, you'll see her S2 and S3 damage is just going up. This is going to make farming adventure even easier. You can actually just breeze through adventure mode, side story mode, and just start farming for catalysts very, very quickly now. It will increase everyone's catalyst farming speed. I believe probably like, I don't know, 70% of people in that farm, side story, and adventure probably use Free Spirit Teraria because she's the easiest to build and she does a ton of damage. And now you can put her on even crappier gear and she'll get the job done because she just does more damage. Also, you'll see that the damage for S3 also will increase proportional to the target's max health. So she's going to be a very good viable option now outside of just farming adventure for newer players that are trying to tackle harder bosses like raid and stuff like that. She'll just do a ton more damage, and she'll probably be very good in like expeditions now as well, I believe. Even though that this gets kind of reduced there, she's still going to be a very good option because, yeah, very strong, right? She does a ton of AoE damage. Now she does a ton of single target damage. Now she has she always had a defense break, but it makes her very strong. Just a very powerful unit now. Next, let's go into Mercedes. Mercedes also was a very good PvE unit already. Basically, they're just increasing all of her damage. Pretty much the same thing. Just more damage, and you're going to see that you can soul burn your S3 now to actually extend buffs granted to the attack buff. And it's an AoE attack buff, so you know, if you don't want to use Yuna, or I guess you use Yuna at the start, once you actually build your Mercedes, you can use Mercedes as well. But just more extra damage now. You don't need to waste your souls on your S2 to do extra damage as you know, you had to before. So might be better for Guild Wars defense as well now, but we'll see. Next we have Camila. So basically they're changing Camila to do more damage with her S3. That doesn't really matter because you usually turn her skills off. And then you're also going to see that her S2 now will actually give, what's it called? Attack buff for 3 turns now instead of 2. I don't think this really matters because you're going to use her with attack buff off anyways. Camila is more of a late game PvE option. Basically, if you have attack buff on Camila and you S1, you'll trigger a dual attack from the ally with the highest attack with your S1. So for that reason, you just turn her skills off and you just have her with an attack buffer like Mercedes, Yuna, or you know, just anything that attack buffs, usually paired with an artifact, Benamari's Tachi, which can actually give her attack buff every single turn for free. So this doesn't really matter. I don't know why they changed her like this. It won't really do anything, but okay. Next we have Aether. So Aether is being changed. Aether is the free-to-play rat that is given to you at the start of the game that was useless because his heals would scale with the target's max health, which makes no sense because you're not going to really need to heal tanky targets as much. And the caster's attack, which makes no sense because Aether is a Soul Weaver, and usually Soul Weavers are in the front, so you want to stack them on health. So it makes no sense if Aether tries to heal himself, and he's in the front line. He needs high attack, but he needs high attack and then high health, I guess, which makes no sense. Basically, what they're doing now is they're just changing it to heal more proportional to the target's max health. Will this change anything? No, don't use him. Just use Angelic Bomb Rancy. They're just way better. But I guess until you unlock Angelica after the story mode for Chapter 1, Episode 1, or Episode 1, Chapter 10, I guess, you can use either now, but it's not a good option. Next, you're going to see artifacts being changed. Nothing too crazy. It looks like Mighty Yaksha just giving you flat attack now. Goblin's Lamp, when an enemy is defeated, you get a soul. This might be okay, I guess, when you're trying to stack souls for big bosses. Also, you'll see Envoy's Pipe. You just take less damage. This is a lot better. This will make Wyvern a little bit easier for newer players. You can just put this on your front line and they'll take a lot less damage, like Angelica or Angelic Montmorency. And then Ascending Axe doesn't stack anymore, it's just flat crit chance. I think this is a pretty good change for newer players because crit chance is pretty hard to come by. So yeah, pretty much it for these balance adjustments. Honestly, after looking at it, not that great. I was pretty excited when I saw Remnant Violet and Sylvan Sage Vivian, but these changes are pretty crappy for them. And the free-to-play changes don't really matter too much except for Free Spirit Teraria, I guess, and like Yuna. But yeah, just curious what you guys think about this. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next video.